Is
the
it just like not letting you add people on, or?
nah, like sometimes it'll just give you that spinning wheel of death.
Yeah.
Other times it goes right up in there. So I don't know if it depends. Like maybe since it's Friday night, 8:30 on the
Oh,
East
yeah.
Coast, a lot of people are.
Happy hour.
Yeah, it's happy hour, trivia, whatever. Everybody's not at the bars, but
Yeah.
on their computers and screens.
All right.
All right, so thank you for doing this.
Thanks for.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, my focus this week has been to reach out to people and kind of check in, see how they're doing and what their stories are. So tell me a little about yourself, and we'll start by how did you find CrossFit?
Oh, okay. So I found CrossFit through my husband. We were both gymnasts growing up. So he decided he wanted to do something to compete again. And I don't know if someone suggested CrossFit to him or he just picked it. I was like, hey, I'll try that. So he started doing that and he trained with someone at like a strength club, not a regular CrossFit gym, and got ready for a competition. And then I guess, well, he decided that he was going to go to a CrossFit gym and see if he could teach gymnastics classes and like trade and get CrossFit there too. And then he did that. He found somebody who wanted help to teach gymnastics classes. And he came back. He's like, yeah, so we're going to do it on these times and these days. And I was like, oh, me too. I didn't know I was a part of this.
What do you mean we?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was kind of unintentional.
What year was that?
2013, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are very different then.
Yeah.
That's cool. So after that, like what's the journey then?
So we started teaching gymnastics classes there, I think like twice a week, and then we would go to classes every day. And it was kind of like I wasn't sold on it yet,
Yeah.
just going through the motions, like, oh, this is kind of dumb or whatever. I'll just go because you want to, and because I need to do something to stay in shape. So whatever. And then people would be like, "Oh, you can do that. Oh, try this. Oh, you're good at that." And then we got a new job, so we moved, and we didn't have anywhere to work out. So I was like, "Yeah, if we find CrossFit, whatever. If not, I'll just go back to the gym." And we found this guy who had just moved to where we were also, and was or looking to restart his CrossFit gym, but couldn't find a building. And the gymnastics gym we were at, we had these two empty racquetball courts downstairs that weren't being used. So we're like, hey, why don't you just come to our gym? So we hooked up there. He started his gym inside our gym, and I started working out with him, and he convinced me I could be good at it. So I kept going.
So for people who might not know, you had a background in gymnastics.
Yeah, so I did gymnastics for 17 years. Started when I was 4 and competed all the way through college, and went to nationals in college and all of that. And then I started coaching gymnastics as soon as I was done competing. So I've been in the sport all my life.
That's awesome. And when you were coaching in that gym, was there any like moments where you're coaching your gymnastics and you're kind of watching the classes and whatnot, the CrossFit stuff happening, like what the fuck are they
doing? No, because like when the CrossFit gym restarted, they were really small and kind of building a new base because he had just moved to the area too. So he took a lot of feedback and we really worked together, and like we helped him learn gymnastics and he helped us learn CrossFit and weightlifting. So it was really like a group effort.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's fun to watch like the gymnasts that come in and how solid they are and like how easy of a transition they have.
Yeah.
Body awareness is like through the roof.
For sure.
Coaching like way easier.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, it's fun to try to find like the words that land, because like when you tell them to kip or something, like they don't understand. Like
yeah, it's a different movement.
Right. The definitions are different.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like you know what you want them to do, but they're like, wait, that's wrong. Like
Right. I think back then it was still kind of new enough that like the terms weren't thrown around as much.
Gotcha.
Like I remember we were learning butterfly pull-ups and my coach couldn't really do them either. So we just had a contest like, how many did you do today? Okay, I got up to 10. I got this. We were
Because
kind
it's
of
like
learning together.
it's like everything wrong, like the opposite of like what your body wants to do.
Yeah,
Especially like the butterfly, it's like such a weird rhythm, you know.
it is. I can relate it to gymnastics terms and shapes, so it makes sense to me. But
Right.
I've had even other gymnasts ask me, like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And then I explain it in gymnastics terms, and then they get it. It's a strange movement for sure.
It is a strange thing. I like what you said, the shapes, because that's
Yeah.
what, you know, I'm a very like tactical and visual person. So as I'm moving around, it's like I want you in this shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gymnastics
So
is all about shapes.
it's all about shape.
Yeah.
How so from 2013 till through your journey, how has your fitness evolved? And when you did start getting in line with like, okay, cool, CrossFit, I kind of could see myself doing this. How did your fitness evolve, and what did your workouts look like, as you had it? I mean, you already had a strong foundation, but as you built upon that, what did that look like?
Yeah. So the coach that I had who opened that gym, he was very like weightlifting oriented. So he taught me how to do the Olympic lifts. And I actually competed in Olympic weightlifting before I competed in CrossFit.
Okay.
So our gym was always known as like the strong gym. Like everybody who went there could lift heavy and move stuff. So I got a good foundation that way for strength, which in gymnastics you don't really lift a lot of weights, but you move well. So
Right.
I didn't have the weightlifting, but I had the movement, and that clicked well. So I started competing in weightlifting, and then um, let's see, I think I went to AOs in 2015. And then I started feeling like, well, I really like CrossFit too. And I don't like when I have to cut weight and stop CrossFitting and do all that stuff to get ready for a meet. So let me just try CrossFit for a little while, because then I still get to lift and do CrossFit. So then I think at that point I was still doing like the class workouts, and then he would give us extra weightlifting and skill work type of stuff to do. Um, and that was into 2016, I think, was the first time I went to regionals. I think that was my second or third open, maybe the third one. So yeah, by the time I went to regionals in 2016, I was doing like the class workout plus weightlifting and whatever extra skills I might want to work on. And then after that, my first regionals, I got 20th place, I think. And I felt like, okay, well, that's a pretty good start for my first year. Let's
Yeah,
try to
absolutely.
make an improvement on that. So I set my goal to be in the top 10 the next year at regionals. And my coach at that point was kind of like searching for more like better balance. And there are a bunch of people at the gym who were kind of getting more competitive. So he started following the Invictus blog and kind of passing on the workouts from them. He ended up not following it anymore, but I stuck with it. So all through that year, I just followed the blog, and then came to 2017 regionals and ended up making the games. It's like,
Wow.
hey, I made my top 10 goal.
Yeah, really. Not only did you make your goal, but you qualified for something that that's pretty. Not a lot of people can say that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy journey. It wasn't ever like I want to do this as a career or super intentional even. I mean, my workouts were intentional, but it wasn't like this is my one goal.
Yeah.
Just, my workouts started building. I followed the programs that kind of added on a little bit at a time, and it got me a little bit better at a time to where I wanted to be.
So how was your mindset and your like, I mean, your lens of taking on that experience of I qualified for the games has to be different than someone who's like, because we see it that people walk into the gym and they go, I think I can take this somewhere. I want to go to the games.
Yeah, for sure.
I even had somebody recently say, hey, came into my gym, said, I want to go to regionals. I go, that doesn't exist anymore. Cool.
Yeah.
I really think I can take this somewhere. So those, and call it delusional, but for you,
It's
where
just
it's
for
like
motivation, really.
right, like it could be a motivating point, but what was that experience like going into it of like, not from the lens of like, oh, I've been grinding for years and finally I made it. Like, how was that? How was your perception through that?
It was really cool actually because it wasn't an expectation.
Right.
I mean, I definitely sort of imagined it in my mind of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if that happened? But it wasn't like, didn't 100% believe it could happen.
Right.
Um, and then as I went through regionals, like the first day I was in the bottom heat and then I moved up to the top heat right away. And then the second day I stayed in that top heat, which really surprised me. And then I started thinking like, oh, maybe this really could happen. And I got really, really nervous. um, because it wasn't ever an expectation. It was just like a bonus extra cool thing. I I was like the most nervous I've ever been in my life going into
Wow.
that third day of regionals. I I never get like I never feel sick nervous, but that time I did. Like
Wow.
I couldn't just sit at home and wait. I had to just go there and like get in the environment. So I would stop overthinking and just go.
Yeah.
But then like I don't know. There was some workout where I was kind of like on the bubble, and it was the last one. So we were going into the last workout, and I think I was in fourth place. And I knew that people behind me had been to the games multiple times. I knew it was assault bike and burpees, and I'm not good at the assault bike. And I knew that those girls were really good at the assault bike. So I was just trying to convince myself, like, it's okay. You came here, you met your expectations, you
Right.
exceeded your expectations. Like, this is not something you asked for. So you can't get upset if it gets taken away. All you can do is just go out and do the best that you can in the moment. And I was pretty convinced that like my chance was gone. So we went out, I got on the assault bike. I'm always the last one off the assault bike. I didn't change my plan. I just did it that way anyway. And then I got onto the burpees and I was like, just keep moving, just keep moving. It doesn't matter where anybody else is. It doesn't matter if you're last. It doesn't matter if you lose that spot. Just keep going. And somehow I got to the end and I looked back and I was like the third person done or something and found out I made it.
Wow.
So it really was just like every step of the way, do what you can in this moment. We were the last regional to go because it used to be like 3 weekends or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had practiced those workouts so many times that I knew exactly what I was capable of. I knew where I could push. I knew where I wanted to improve from practice. So that helped me to focus on just what I was doing right then. But it was interesting because the next year, 2018, was a very different experience for me after having been already.
Really?
Yeah.
So in that moment of acceptance, right, you realize, okay, I'm here. This is the reality of the situation. I wasn't planning for this, but I made it this far. And yeah, like those girls kick ass on the bike, but I know myself and I know where to press on the gas pedal. I know where to let up. You had those. I think there's a lot of power in being able to kind of tap into your brain and see yourself, doing things. The vision of this is what I see myself doing or what I know I can do.
For sure. Yeah.
And applying that into the moment. So what happened in 2018? How did that weigh on you after, like you just said, like going through that experience and like this is new and not something I was planning for and made it to the game? What happened in 2018?
Well, so first going back to 2017, after I made it, it really was like a big surprise to me. And I didn't feel like I deserved it or earned it because I wasn't one of those people who had their sights set on it and this is what I'm going to do. I just kind of felt like I fell into it. So the whole time going through the games, I really felt like I didn't belong there. I wasn't good enough. Like I just got lucky type of thing. So I sort of spent the whole next year trying to prove to myself that I was good enough. Nobody ever told me that I wasn't good enough. All the girls there told me, of course you belong here. Everybody was great, but for some reason I couldn't believe it. So the next year I was trying to prove I'm good enough. Our region got combined with California to the West region. So then I knew like, this is my chance because they combined us because we weren't good enough over there. So I have to prove I'm better than the California girls. And I just really, really stressed myself out. to the point where like I also had other stresses going on in life at the time, but going into regionals, I sort of convinced myself like, you know what, maybe it's just you're not there, you're not good enough. It's okay, just take a step back and don't worry about it. And then I went and trained at Invictus for 2 weeks before regionals, and I kind of set my life stress aside and got focused on CrossFit. And I realized I can do more than I think I can. It doesn't really matter whether I make the games or not. It matters that I do my best in each workout. I give my best effort. I know that I am actually stronger than I was last year. So wherever that gets me, it doesn't matter. I know that I gave my best. So that
Isn't
took a
it
while.
crazy how much, like, how much of a mental fight and fortitude, like how it weighs on everything so much,
Yeah,
so much.
for sure.
Mindset is everything,
It is.
right? And it's that's part of the battles. It's training, but having that confidence or whatever you want to call it, the faith in yourself, you know, just your experience of 2017 versus 2018, just the language and just in this conversation, it's two stories. Casey 2017 is like, oh, this is great, this is cool, I'm enjoying
Yeah.
this. Like, I don't really have any expectations. It'll be fun. It is what it is. And then you get there, and then you're like, oh wait, did I really deserve that? Am I good enough?
Mm-hmm.
I think just the good enough strikes a chord for me, because that's something I struggle with. I've always struggled with that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that, yes, you are good enough, and that really the only one putting expectation on yourself is yourself.
Yeah. And there doesn't need to be a qualifier for good enough.
No.
I think in sport, we learn that a lot, especially in gymnastics, because, you get scored. You get points taken away for all the things that are not good enough.
Yeah.
So growing up, that was sort of ingrained, not in a bad way. I mean, my coaches and experience were great, but it was sort of ingrained through sport of like, you have to meet these expectations to be the top, which is good enough.
Yeah. And that
But
just becomes kind of how you operate on
right.
every level, in relationship, in work, in, day-to-day activities. um, it can drive good and bad. It's not a
Right.
bad thing. It
That's
drives
true.
you, and it makes you better, and it helps you focus on things. And okay, that was good, but how can I do that better? But if
Right.
it's coming from a place of how can I help, not I'm trying to show how great I am and
Right.
screw everybody else, like I'm the shit. There's also that behind it too. So
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
that's kind of, it's cool to see the tales of two cities. What does before COVID-19? What does fitness look like for you now? What's your training like?
Oh man, it's very different. So
Yeah.
I had my baby in August of 2019. Uh,
Congratulations.
so I trained through my pregnancy. My coach Tino at Victus, he still gave me workouts to do that just sort of tapered down as I got bigger and closer to birth. I still did a lot actually, and then I don't know, the last month or so is where things really started tapering off. And after I had him, I gave it probably 8 weeks before I did anything other than walking. Like we go walks around the neighborhood. And I started building back slowly with like PT type exercises, basically. I started going to a pelvic floor PT, which was really helpful. I was really resistant to it at first, but it was a good thing.
Yeah.
So let's see, it took a long time. I had him in August, and then January is when I really started setting a goal of like, okay, I'm going to work out 3 times a week, which in my history is like nothing. It's like a joke,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it was really hard to do still. So yeah, starting January, I started working out 3 times a week, and it wasn't a lot. It was like maybe I'll go to a CrossFit class one day, and then at home I'll just pick a workout I find on Instagram and I'll do that. Um, so it was like 30 minutes, maybe an hour, 3 times a week at
Wow.
most. And then before all the COVID-19 stuff happened, I was really trying to get back into the gym more just to have that community, because I was really missing that the socialization, I guess, which I'm really an introvert, so it's weird for me, but it helps me just break away from mom life, I
Yeah.
guess, and be a different person. So I was trying to get back in the gym more, and then this all happened, and now I'm in my garage again. But
Yeah.
I'm working out like 5 times a week now,
Good.
doing more CrossFit, feeling more normal
Good.
finally, thinking
Awesome.
maybe I could be athletic again.
Beautiful. That's awesome. That's great. We have a lot of moms, and it's a similar story of, they're itching to come back, and
Yeah. You
doc
know,
says 6 to 8
it's
weeks,
funny,
and
like,
some of them are like, I'm ready. I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
just take your time.
I was really hesitant because I wanted to make sure I did it right. I
Yeah.
didn't want to just like, I know if I go to the gym and they're doing a workout with all these advanced movements, I'll want to do it and I'll want to do it fast. So that was part of the reason I actually didn't go back into the gym for a while, which I don't know, maybe you can learn from that. I guess maybe I'm not that helpful there, but um, I didn't want to get into a situation where I would make myself feel bad about what I could do or have to say I can't do that.
Yeah.
I did modify some things, but I guess it was like when I was farther out, like 6 months after, I felt like from the outside it would look like, well, of course you can do that again. It's been so long, and my body probably could do it, but I didn't feel ready. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to push myself through that. And I really took it slowly. I know on Instagram and social media and all that, you see people come back so fast and they have abs again after 2 months and they're making PRs and lifting heavy lifts. And that was not me at all. And I think I was really good about not feeling bad about that.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's another mindset and mental fight for you, coming from you were at the peak, you went to the games, and it's like your body completely changes. You have a child, and it's like, I really got to think about what I can and should be doing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. What is my purpose now? Because
exactly.
I don't really need to be doing butterfly pull-ups if I'm not competing and doing 100 at a time. Like
Right.
strict pull-ups are great. They make me
Yeah.
strong. They make my shoulders stable. And so I've been trying to think about my purpose. It was good because I felt like I needed a break from competing, so I didn't feel like I had to get back to that stuff right away.
Good.
It gave me a path that built my body back to where now I feel like, oh, maybe I could compete again.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Good. So August, we're in
Yeah, he's
April.
8 months. He just turned 8 months yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got one on the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we got one coming in September.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Little Hudson,
Oh, cute.
the boy. Yeah,
Nice.
it'll be fun.
It's your
I'm
first,
excited.
yeah?
Yeah, it's my first. Yeah,
Oh, it's exciting.
it'll be good. I'm ready. So during this whole, it's funny you mentioned being an introvert. I ran into a couple members just out and about, and some that you would deem introvert, and they're like, "Oh my God, you know me. I sit in the corner. I don't talk to anybody, but goddamn, I miss the gym."
Yeah.
So what's keeping you motivated, and what's helping you move, and what's keeping you going during this temporary shutdown?
Um, Luckily, we've had a lot of really nice weather. We've been able to go for walks a lot. With my baby, he gets kind of crazy cooped up inside, and the second we go outside, he calms down. So that's been really good. That gets us just outside and moving every day almost, which kind of refreshes the brain and makes me think about moving in other ways too. Um, I know if I go like 2 days without working out, I get set in a habit of not wanting to work out anymore. So I try not to go more than 2 days because it's just so much harder to restart then. Even if it's just something simple. Like yesterday, we went out for a walk and I felt like, oh, I'm not going to have time to work out. I have the baby. He already had his nap and whatever. But I had him like in a pack on my back. So I was like, hey, I could do step ups like this. So I went and did 500 step ups in my garage.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's
So
fitness.
just small things. I know that it helps my mind. I
Yeah.
know that it makes me feel better. It's also been really good for me to have some downtime because with the baby, I really didn't have a lot of time off work. But I've had some time to slow down, to refocus and kind of work on some side projects that I wanted to work on. I wanted to do some like mindset programming stuff, so I've been working on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. There's always positives to find in things,
Yeah.
and this is something we've never experienced before, and I think there's just like any experience, anything. There's ways to go about it, and you can go down the path of negativity and
Mm-hmm.
not get off the couch and just binge
Right.
and watch Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, like you said, the 2 day thing, that's huge. If I know how you feel, I know exactly what it's like. If you don't, there's those days where you get stuck on the computer and you look up, it's 4 o'clock, and you go, oh shit, you
Yeah.
haven't really moved.
Haven't done anything.
You got like 400 steps on your watch. It's like there's no motivation there. But the days where maybe it is a little bit nicer, and you can set the intention from the day. Yeah, you might. We all, we're stuck on these devices now, but
Yeah.
it
Are
is a
you guys
convenience.
allowed to get outside and walk there, or is it pretty hard?
They shut down all our parks.
Yeah.
Um,
I've just been walking in neighborhoods, but
yeah, that's what
probably,
we've been going outside. We've been doing, walks and runs in the neighborhood.
yeah.
It's, it sucks, but I think soon, we'll be able to get back into the parks and,
Yeah, probably.
you
I
know,
know, like,
no, go ahead.
uh, for me, just getting a workout started, like, almost every day is really hard.
It
Even
is.
when I was competing and training, it was hard to get things started. So sometimes if I look out a workout, because right now I'm kind of just picking from different places what I want to do. Sometimes I'll see a workout and be like, that's so much, it's overwhelming. I don't want to do that, or I can't do that, or whatever. So I'll just pick one thing to start. And maybe it's just like stretching. Just start stretching, and then I think, oh, I haven't done this in a while. Maybe I'll try some of that. And then, oh, I'll add this onto it. And that's sort of how I've always done my workouts. I mean, at one point they were all programmed for me, but even before CrossFit, after gymnastics, I didn't know what to do. And I would just make up circuits in my living room of like, I'll do this. Oh, that feels good. Maybe I should add that. And then like 20 minutes later, I'd been working out for a while. So if you just get started, that is the biggest thing. You don't have to have this whole plan of like, oh, I did arms yesterday, so I need to do legs today, and I better make sure I go run and all that. Just move, just do something.
Just move. And that's secretly, it's fun because I'm like, I get to, like, we're doing burpees a lot more than normal. So it's
Yeah.
like, but hey, you're moving. So sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Like in our group, it's been like, are you like burpees again? Are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah.
Lots of burpees.
So what, away from fitness, I guess there's two parts. Mental health wise, what are some things that have been helping, and is there any hobbies that you've picked up or tapped back into that you've kind of been missing?
Yeah. Really, with an 8-month-old, I'm never bored. I don't have a lot of free time. So that's been keeping me busy for sure. But I've tried to use his nap times to kind of schedule my time. Um, like I said, I've been wanting to get into some sort of mindset programming stuff. Right now, I'm focusing on basing it towards gymnasts. So I've had the time, I've been trying to make sure during his first nap of the day that I work on that project. So I'll either go back and look at some of my old textbooks because I studied sports psychology. So I'll look at old textbooks or some stuff that I used to work with a guy before on mindset and just sort of start building that program. Um, so I've really gotten back into the sports psych stuff lately. And well, with my gymnasts, I've been giving them workouts every day, which has been good for me to kind of like we give them some stability sort of PT type stuff and some workouts and some stretching, and then we'll challenge them. So like we told them that they should be working on their presses and handstands every day. So I told them, hey, I'll work on mine too. I cannot do it at all anymore, but I told you, you have to work on it, so I'll work on it too. So it's just sort of a fresh, sort of playful mindset for me, really. Just like, might as well just do something. There's no end goal right now. There's no deadline for anything. Just play, just move, just try something. Um, I really see it as a positive, especially for my gymnasts, because it sucks. Like their season got cut short and everything, and it's hard to process that. But there's always little things of like, my shoulder's been bugging me for a month, or my back always hurts, or this or that. And I see like, you could get a fresh start now. You can take these 2 months and rehab your back and do your core exercises and do your stability and your PT, and you could come back and not be in pain anymore and be able to move correctly. And like, we could be better than ever because of this. That's really how I feel.
Be even better. Absolutely. It's there's the positives of like all the before this, it's easy to not find the time to sit down and work on these things that you're giving them, but now it's like, hey, you got nothing else, so let's correct it. And when
I've seen something that's like, you thought you didn't have the time before, but if you're not doing it now, then you really just lack the discipline.
Well, that's the other end of it too.
You really find out what your priorities are, because if you've got all day free time and you're not doing that thing that you always said you should do, maybe it's not that important to you.
I've seen both. Again, there's two sides to everything, and you see the people that are like on the Netflix and chill side, and then there's the people who are like, there's not enough time in the day. I don't know what day it is.
Well, both I think are important, because I find myself too telling myself it's okay to not do something today.
I have a very hard time with that.
Very
hard time with that.
Especially when like, I'm at home all day. There's no reason not to be productive, not to get this done. But you can't just always be going all the time. Even if like my workouts are not that intense these days, they're maybe half hour, 45 minutes, but it's still okay to have a day where I don't do something. It's still okay to take a nap time and take a nap myself, or to just sit on the couch for a little bit. So you got to have both for sure.
It's all about balance in general, like just on a normal day, but especially in times like this.
Yeah, that's another thing, is where like a lot of people might not realize how much it affects them. At first, I thought it was kind of cool because I like being at home and not seeing people. But I'm seeing that, I really miss my family. We get together every week for dinner, and I haven't been able to see them. I miss going to the gym. So even someone who's super introverted like me, it has an effect. So I know for other people, it's a lot harder. And I think a lot of people don't acknowledge how hard it is, or that it's okay to be angry, upset, frustrated. But if you spend all your time ignoring those feelings, it really just makes it worse. If you just say, okay, I'm upset, I'm going to be angry for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to let it go and move on, it processes a lot better that way.
The clouds kind of pass.
Yeah.
Emotions are temporary. They come and go.
But it's easier to let them go if you acknowledge them first.
That you have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get stuck in it. So my therapist came in the group Wednesday night. She did an awesome talk on finding peace during turbulent times.
Oh, nice.
So it was cool to have her in here. Monday we have another mindset person coming in. So
cool.
I've been making sure to, health and fitness, it's not just there's moving, but there's also like what's going on up here. Just, on the base, like the startup phase of like just noticing the thoughts and the emotions behind that.
For sure. That's like at least 80% of it.
Just like back to your experience in 2017, 2018.
For sure.
Mindset. How that dictated, each experience usually. What's the strangest thing you've done during quarantine?
Oh man, I haven't really done a whole lot. I can't think of anything. I hang out with my baby all day.
Nothing like didn't order anything crazy off the internet or.
No, I've been trying not to buy too many things. Mostly I buy food, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hang out with my baby. I dance around with him. We talk. We play in his ball pit. So
Awesome.
that's about it. I guess yesterday I did the 500 step ups. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure the neighbors are like, "What? Why?"
Oh, it was inside my garage. They couldn't see
They
me.
didn't say it. And what have you been? I know we briefly touched on it, but what have you been enjoying most about this temporary shutdown and the current reality?
Yeah. It's been really good for me to have some time off to slow down, um, and to hang out with my baby because I didn't get that much time. I work 6 days a week. So even though they're kind of shorter days because it's coaching, it's still a lot to be gone from him. So it's really nice to get to see him grow. Like he's changing so much right now. He's crawling and standing up everywhere. He's very opinionated and stubborn. So it's been really good to spend time with him and my husband, of course.
Did you watch that documentary, Babies, on Netflix?
No. Oh, so Maddie Myers was talking about that. I need to go watch it, but I forgot about it.
Check it out. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's some that are like kind of like whatever, but there's a couple in there that are like, oh, this like the science, just the science behind like what happens and you know how your body is like do crazy shit and
Yeah.
like there's some cool stuff in there.
Okay. What's it called again?
It's called Babies.
Just babies. Okay.
Yeah, just Babies.
I will look for it.
Well, that's all I got. I
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of course. My last question.
Mhm.
What's your favorite donut?
My favorite donut.
And or pastry if you're not like a donut person.
Well, I like donuts. Sometimes I just go for a good maple bar. I don't like all the stuff piled on top. Like
Yeah.
that's a little bit too crazy for me. Yeah, I'd say a maple bar probably.
So just like a classic, like a little bit of
Yeah.
glaze, nothing too crazy.
Oh man, I discovered this place near me that delivers cookies and ice cream.
Cookies
I
and
did
ice
not
cream.
know that existed. Yeah, that was dangerous. I got 7 cookies and they're like, as big as my face type of cookies, and they were gone in a day and a half.
Wow. Are they warm when they send them to you?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
they were so good.
That's bad.
Yeah. But
Well,
again, like the mindset stuff, I told myself it's just one day. It's okay. We'll go back to regular eating after this.
and then they tack on another 15 days and you're like, well, guess I got to go back to ordering online again.
Well, I know, but I only ordered cookies one time so far. I'm going to space it out.
I'm definitely going to Google search if there's any cookie delivery near me once we get off this call. Cool.
Yep,
Right,
they're called Midnight Cookie Company over here.
Midnight. We have one. There's a college, Rowan College, not far from here. I don't know if they should deliver now because everybody's.
Well, it was like a Postmates, Uber Eats type of thing. Pretty much everybody delivers now.
I'll have to look into it. Hot, warm cookies with ice cream.
It was so good.
Well, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
It was good to catch up. And,
Yeah.
Stay safe. And
hope this all wraps up soon.
yeah, we'll either way. There's always positives, and
Yeah.
I think there's always
I'm
a lot
sorry
to learn.
I didn't get to meet your members. I was kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know. I'll post this up in the group, and if I get any questions or anything, I'll shoot them over to you.
Cool. That'd be awesome.
All right, Case.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. No problem.
See ya.